It is July 18th, 2023, 7 p.m. I call this city council meetings to order. I'll talk louder. Item 2, roll call.
Councilman Becker,
Here.
Councilman Jacob,
Here.
Councilman Lesko here.
Here.
Councilman Schultz.
Here.
President Johnson.
Here. Item 3, public hearings. Tonight we have none. Item number 4, public comment. The city council will receive comments from city residents. Comments are generally limited to 3 minutes per individual. Anyone wishing to speak is required to sign up in advance or state the following items for record when called upon: name, address, subject matter, and contact information. No action will be taken on any public comment unless the item is also elsewhere on the agenda. Those of you on the Zoom meeting, if you care to contribute with a comment, you need to raise your hand virtually and we'll get you a chance. First, John Donahue.
Good evening. My name is John Donahue, residing at 1550 Ravine Street, Fort Atkinson. Without controversy, the city of Fort Atkinson can be extremely proud of the Dwight Foster Public Library, managed and staffed by highly dedicated people. Since its creation in 1890, the library has added greatly to the quality of life of our community. The library comes under city government purview in at least 2 ways. 2/3 of the library's current operating budget come from general property taxes, and the responsibility for library administration is addressed in city ordinance, which authorizes a library board which guides library policy operations. This ordinance incorporates Wisconsin Statute Chapter 43, where, among other things, the state legislature recognizes the importance of free access to knowledge, information, and diversity of ideas by all residents of this state. With that said, I address a subject which is relevant to the interests of Fort Atkinson residents concerning a display focusing on Pride Month now in the Dwight Foster Public Library Teen Room. This present display includes a number of books, among them such titles as Yay, You're Gay, Now What? And Queer, There, and Everywhere. These books, among others, give rise to 3 concerns. First, these books contain sexually explicit narratives that are accessible to all public audiences, regardless of age, where one must consider Wisconsin Statute 944 defining obscene material or performances as media. To the average person, applying community standards which would appeal to prurient interests if taken as a whole. Second, numerous studies show that the LGBTQ+ community is at higher risk of both physical and mental health consequences. These books provide virtually no guidance to their readers as to public health and individual health consequences, both physical and mental health, of the sexual socialization they describe. And third, what exactly is our community standard? The relevant Wisconsin statute, Chapter 944, clearly references contemporary community standards no less than 4 times when considering questions concerning this general type of material display as well as public performances. I'm asking the council for 3 things. First, I ask the council members to personally review the library's Pride Month display and formulate their own opinions. Second, I ask the city council request that the library board add community and personal health information to balance the Pride book display. Third, I ask that the city council establish a general framework for local community standards as referenced within Wisconsin Statute Chapter 944. And I personally would volunteer my services to set up a community-based group to consider a community standards framework and to report back to this council with recommendations. Do we have a community standard or don't we? If so, what are the standards for both materials as well as performances? This is not the first time that we've asked these questions, but it seems we are building community standards through our
John,
own community experience.
Your 3 minutes have expired.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have John House.
John House, 104 Jefferson Street in Fort. I was shown this teen room last week, and so I went down, looked it over, and these are some of the books that are displayed there. I'm certainly with John. There's stuff in these books that break every statute that we have in the state, I'm sure. So I'm agreement with him. And I think these books, you know, books are books, can't burn them, or you shouldn't. The teen area is set off by itself. I think this stuff should be put in the adult section. That way, if the parents want to show this to their kids, great, let them have it. But you shouldn't be, my opinion, shouldn't be able to have a 12, 13, 14-year-old person walking in here and seeing this stuff. So I guess without further ado, I will pass on.
Do we have anyone on a Zoom meeting who would wish to partake and give public comment? You'll need to unmute yourself if you're going to. Second call for public comment from Zoom meeting. Third and final call. Anyone else wish to make comment? Section is closed. Consent agenda. The city agenda outlined below is hereby presented for action by the city council. Items may be removed from the council consent agenda on the request of any one council member. Items not removed may be adopted by one action without debate. Removed items may be taken up either immediately or after consent agenda or placed on a later on the agenda at the discretion of the council president.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Item 6. Petitions, requests, and communications. Item A, swearing in of Fort Atkinson's Police Department K-9 Officer Schmitty. Chief Bump.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for letting us do this at the city council meeting. I think it's a neat opportunity for us to share this with the entire community. We're all set to swear in our newest member of the police department, which is our K-9. We've been without our K-9 unit for about 1.5 years. I might be off in a few months there, but we're really excited about the opportunity to bring this back to our community, the resource that is really needed on our street. Today we have Smitty. Smitty is our 1.5-year-old Belgian Malinois. He is from Bulgaria, however, imported from Bulgaria. And he's been paired with Officer Adam Lawrence. And they are in the middle of their second week of training to get to where they need to be as a team and the skills that they need to be deployed to the street. And we look to deploy them to the street on patrol after August 11th. Will be his first shift. So we'd love to swear him in and have him an official member of the Fort Atkinson Police Department. So I'll have Smitty and Officer Lawrence come up to the front.
Yes.
Got something on you, David?
Do you, Smitty, solemnly swear to support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Wisconsin? As a police canine for the city of Port Atkinson, will you faithfully and honestly help enforce the laws of the state of Wisconsin and the ordinances of the city of Port Atkinson without discrimination and without fear or favor? Will you conduct yourself in a manner which consistently maintains the public trust and respect of the community? Will you treat others with kindness, empathy, and respect? Will you support the mission, vision, and shared values of the Port Atkinson Police Department? Officer Lawrence, do you accept this oath as stated on behalf of Smitty and yourself as a team?
I do.
Please.
Okay. I'd like to introduce Canine Officer Smitty. Thank you very much.
Excuse me.
Item 6B, presentation of the 2023 Wisconsin Act 12 information relating to the impact of tax increment districts and TIDs.
Hello, hi, I'm Michael Ashman and I'm the management intern with the city manager for the summer. And so I was asked to review and analyze Act 12 and how its changes to tax incremental districts or TIDs will affect Fort Atkinson in the future. So there are some key changes. There are two key changes specifically to the opening of TIDs and to the closure of TIDs. And I'll go through those and their potential impacts and some implications. So traditionally, TIDs are created by municipalities to stimulate economic development and improve infrastructure. The new construction within a TID increases the equalized value of the property, thereby increasing the tax base from the municipality. So equalized value increase refers to the growth or rise of the equalized value of the property, thereby increasing the tax base for the municipality. In this regard, we just have to worry about new construction. In general, it can be for any improvements or real estate market appreciation. Under Wisconsin Act 12, the valuation factor for TIDs created after December 31st, 2024 has been reduced to 90% of new construction value. This may slow down the expansion of the city's tax base at the opening of TIDs and its growth in tax revenue. So it'll have to be adjusted to for the future. The second part of Act 12 in regard to TIDs is the closing of a TID. So previously municipalities could make a one-time levy adjustment equal to 50% of the new value within the TID upon its closure. And that would provide a significant boost to the city's tax base. Now, what Act 12 reduces the one-time levy adjustment from 50% to 10% for TIDs created 2025 and onward. So after December 31st, 2024. The law does provide an incentive for early closure of TIDs if a TID is closed before reaching 75% of its expected lifespan. And the municipality can then increase the levy adjustment to 25%, but that's still only an additional 15%. And this reduction in the levy adjustment could lead to slower growth in municipalities' tax base and revenue following the closure of TIDs. And those two things will have to be adjusted to in the future after December 31st, 2024. Now, implications. Municipalities may need to rethink their strategies for creating and managing TIDs because we'll all have to be part of the new reality of Act 12, which was just passed. Now, when a TID is open, it is still, the act may slow down economic development or limiting the opening and closing of TIDs, but then also the incentive for early TID closures could actually encourage municipalities to close their TIDs before they realize their full potential. But this is something that will just have to be balanced with the reduced financial benefit under the new rules. So in summary, Wisconsin Act 12 introduces critical changes to the rules of governing TIDs impacting their creation and termination. While the functionality, like I said, remains the same for TIDs that are already open, the reduced percentage of new construction value factored into the levy increase calculation and the decreased one-time levy adjustment upon closure could have, well, it will have impacts on us in the future that we don't currently have to deal with right now. While these changes may pose challenges, this presentation was to inform you this was recently passed last month in Act 12, and so I'm just bringing it to your attention. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, and I'm sure in the future we'll be going over this more as we all get used to the new reality after December 31st.
Thank you.
Oh, I've got questions. And bear with me. I probably have to take the TID class again,
Okay.
for a third time. I'm trying to understand this, like 90% of new construction. So you're talking within the TID?
Yeah, so
I just want, bear with me. I'm trying to mentally conceptualize like how this plays out. So let's say we've got a TID and they put in, $1 million of assessed value. How does this 90% play a role?
well, so currently we would have been able to get 100% of net new construction value added. So this does cap whatever value we add to the TID, it will be capped at the 90%. And so that will be a new change that will be a little less beneficial compared to how it currently, the policy is right now.
So right now, 100% of the net new construction in a TID is added to, allows for an additional levy increase. So that net new construction number that our levy increase is based on annually
Okay.
includes the value added in the TIDs.
Okay.
So what this does is it reduces that from 100% of net new construction to 90% of new construction within the TID. So it's not a full 10% reduction because you don't have to net out any reduction in value the way you do with net new construction.
Okay.
But it is still a reduction of the, of our, if there's additional value in the TIDs, only 90% of that will be used for the net new construction number, which would allow our levy to increase.
Do we understand the intent behind this change or the purpose from I don't think we can answer from the city level, is the
Well,
people who
so
wrote this, right?
Act 12 in general was a huge revenue sharing bill. And this actually, in my opinion, it did seem strange to be put in because it's not saving the state money. It's making it a little more difficult for us to use TIDs how they currently are being used at opening and closing. So I'm not sure of the personal reasons why they decided to put that in there.
There were a couple of different legislative pieces added to that Act 12, something, one relating to quarrying, one relating to TIDs. And one, I think also limits local government's authority in what kind of referendum questions they can put to their voters. So there was largely the revenue sharing bill, but there were also some maybe pet projects added in by members of the legislature that they wanted to get addressed.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions?
Michael, I thought that was really good. I imagine one consequence of this might be, and you can agree or disagree. I assume this might in some cases restrict the level of developer incentives we're able to offer.
Yeah, the TIDs were initially just for getting rid of blighted areas, but then over the years have been now for mixed use and other uses. So any changes like this will just make it a little less beneficial for what we're already doing. But it should be something that we're able to adjust to, and then hopefully we'll find more information down the line, or maybe possibly the same people that were putting this in have some other ideas to help us out. But right now it just looks like, and maybe that's wishful thinking, we'll just have to adjust after 2025 and onwards.
Understood.
Yeah, it's not retroactive, so it doesn't
Yeah, it's not
impact the TIDs that we currently have.
The current TIDs will be fine under the original rules currently. Yep,
Yep.
after December 31st, 2024. Okay.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you very much.
Item 7, resolutions and ordinances. A, first reading of an ordinance to amend sections 58 through 197 and 58-202 of the city of Fort Atkinson Municipal Code relating to curfews for minors. Chief Bump.
I submitted a redraft or a rewrite of the curfew ordinance that the city currently has. The main motivator behind coming up with a new version of that ordinance for curfew violations for juveniles is two reasons. One is we want ordinances to be easy to understand and for people to, that they affect, for them to easily understand them and apply them and follow them, right? The other thing is that we want ordinances to be functional and useful for those who apply them, our law enforcement officers in this situation. The current ordinance is fairly old and it has some wording in it that makes it not only confusing for parents, but also makes it more cumbersome for our officers to efficiently and effectively apply the ordinance and, you know, get to the end result. And that is we want to have compliance. We want to then also change behavior. And when I say change behavior, one of the things that this ordinance doesn't have is it really takes away the officer's use of discretion at every level in application of the ordinance. I feel that the best ordinances or ordinances are used the best in our community when officers have the ability to use their discretion to apply them at the appropriate times and not be forced to not apply them or be forced to apply them. Because in the end, it's not about writing a citation or getting someone in trouble, but we want to change the behavior and reduce the opportunity for bad things to happen. So I redrafted the ordinance, as you can see, and this is that end product where we get rid of some of the words that are really tie us down, like shall. Using the word shall in an ordinance takes away any discretion that you have. You must do it because it's by ordinance. So an officer would struggle to be able to use their discretion in a situation. And just to go a little bit farther, not every violation deserves a citation. And however, not every violation requires a warning. And that's what this ordinance really was doing in the way it was worded. I believe you all received a copy of it in the packet, so I'm open to any questions that you may have. Leading up to today and after our ordinance committee meeting, I haven't heard any, no one has reached out to me with questions or concerns. So, you know, I mean, maybe that might happen after this first reading though.
I know I asked this in the ordinance committee, but just gonna put it out there. How often does this become a problem for your officers?
We deal with curfew violations weekly, more commonly in the summer than during the school year. But we really do deal with it on it's a common violation or issue that we're dealing with or addressing.
And how long would you say it ties up an officer at night or when they do have issues?
So under these situations, it's longer. I would say, you know, it could be an hour or more. And the reason is because the ordinance is written in a way that requires the officer to take the juvenile into custody, return them to the police department, then make contact with a parent or guardian to come to the police department and pick them up. I feel it's more efficient and effective for us to maybe do that sometimes, but really when you're at maybe on a traffic stop with juveniles or at a home that is not their own, a lot of times it's easier for the officer to take child to the home and drop them off to their parent or have parent come to that scene and release them from there. And that allows us to be way more efficient and effective, have quicker, more direct contact with the parent and problem solve that situation as fast as possible.
Thank you.
I like what you're proposing. It's easier to understand, easier to follow, and easier to apply. Makes sense.
Good.
Agree. I like what you wrote.
Thank you.
I agree. I support the general policy of officer discretion. And I think this is common sense. So I appreciate the approach that you're taking. So I will move to recommend the city manager prepare the ordinance for a second reading at the August 1st, 2023 city council meeting.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you for your time.
Item B, first reading of an ordinance relating to hours of operation of the municipal building. Clerk Everett.
Thank you. This ordinance was reviewed at the ordinance committee a week ago, and at that point, it was just kind of a conversation that the ordinance committee had, and from that point, they had recommended an ordinance be drafted. So as mentioned, our code of ordinance section 2-1 outlines the hours for the municipal building as they're established since January 4th of 1994. At that time, staff has researched what made them put office hours in the ordinance, and unfortunately, we're not able to come up with anything. It seems the summer hours, they felt it was important in 1994 to establish it within the ordinance versus having it policy set by the manager or the city council. So with the advancement of technology, city's been able to offer more services effectively to our through our residents, also through our city website. An example is using express bill pay for utility payments. Last week, when the packet was created, we had 1,568 residents signed up since Friday. And tonight at 7 o'clock, I just looked, we have 21 more residents had signed up to use express bill pay. What's convenient with express bill pay, it's through your utility payments. You can look online, see your bill, see your previous bill, get notification when your utility bill is ready, and to make payment online, and there's no charge. We've also increased online options with the Park and Recreation. You can fill out applications online, you can make payments online, you can enroll in programming. Municipal court citations, parking tickets can also be paid online. And most recently, we've upgraded and allowed for building permits to be applied for and paid for online. So these conveniences, along with decreased foot traffic since COVID-19, has kind of made some changes within our office. Staff does not feel that changing the office hours is going to have a negative impact on residents, visitors, or guests. Staff has requested this change of eliminating the ordinance that restricts the hours for increased employee satisfaction. There's several times throughout the year that we will make adjustments as needed, specifically property tax time, dog license renewal, and then especially when it's absentee voting prior to elections, that the state statute does require certain hours for the office to be open. So with the repeal of the current sum of hours for the building, the ordinance would terminate Labor Day. So as it stands, the summer hours 8 to 4:30 are the Monday after Memorial Day, and they terminate the Friday before Labor Day. With council approval of an adoption of the ordinance, the summer hours would essentially stay into effect should the ordinance get approved and adopted before Labor Day. And this would allow the city manager to retain the authority to temporarily close the building due to inclement weather or emergency situations should that arise. In my 9 years, I don't think that we have ever closed for any reason. So we've certainly made sure staff is safe and comfortable to get home, but we've been all fortunate that we've been able to stay open to serve the public. Happy to answer any questions the council may have.
No questions. I would move to recommend the city manager prepare the ordinance for a second reading at the August 1st, 2023 city council meeting.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7C. Second reading of an ordinance to adopt zoning text amendments. Amendments relating to the medium industrial land uses, fencings, buildings, maintenance, landscaping, signage, and pools. Inspector Drager, please.
Good evening. I'm going to go through these here. You will see this a little bit different than the last go around. We did remove a few that had some questions that we want to spend a little bit more time discussing before we went ahead and move forward with these. We do have a couple in here that are needed for a couple businesses that are looking to move forward with some projects. So we wanted to make sure that we didn't hold these up and keep moving them through the amendment process. So I'll go ahead and go through these. Section 1 is a typo that was in the original or in our current zoning. It's just a missing SR for the SR3. Section 2 is allowing for garage placement to be even with the front facade of the building. This allows for multi-unit apartment buildings to have parking below, whereas given our current ordinance, we would not be able to do that. Section 3, that's clarifying some text in the urban mixed use, where there's a line in there that says residential uses should not become the majority ground floor land use. However, in the UMU, residential living is allowed on the ground floor. So we're clarifying that and removing that line, so there's not any confusion. Section 4, medium industrial land use was not included in our current text right now. This is adding that in, so it clarifies what is allowed and not in the land use of medium industrial. Along with the other parts of the ordinances and our zoning to clarify those same things in reference.
Jed, if I
Yep.
could just ask, can you just clarify again what generally is meant by medium industrial?
So we have different levels. So you have light, medium, and heavy industrial. Medium industrial will be space saver.
Okay.
Be something like that. It minimizes outside storage. Whereas your heavy industrial has very few limitations for outside storage and things like that, a little bit more dense.
And just to note, this was the description of medium industrial was missing.
Yes.
So now, so that part, that is being added
Yep.
in.
It's been there, yeah, medium industrial, we're not adding that, that zoning, it's just the description of it was not was
Good.
missing in there, so
Yep.
this makes it easier for somebody looking up medium industrial to know exactly what is in there without having to search a little bit extra.
I guess I just think it's important for members of the public to know we're not creating a new
Yes.
type
yes.
of industrial in Fort Atkins.
Yes, thank you, yeah, so yeah, medium industrial already included, or was already in our ordinances, is just clarifying what is allowed inside of there.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Section 5, this is clarifying some fencing standards. In our current fencing standards, there's a section in there that does not allow for coated chain link fences to be in the front and side yard of a building. We're adding in just chain link or clarifying that that is intended to be all chain link, not just coated chain link. It's a modifications to my original sheet because all my notes are on it. Section 6, correcting a fence standard graphic. The graphic that was in there originally or is in our current ordinances does not reflect what is in there for a text. So the new graphic will reflect what is already in our zoning ordinance text. Section 7, swimming pool requirements. Making some standards there or some changes to the standards there that reflect other communities, building codes and things like that. Right now, we're requiring a 6-foot fence be installed, whereas the standard right now is 48 inches. This would, however, change the allowable existing fence height to go from 40 inches to 48 in the name of safety. Section 8 is adding a missing provision from a past zoning ordinance. So this is building maintenance on private property. This is allowing a tool for the zoning, basically for people that don't take care of their house and for buildings that are unsafe, falling down. This was a section that was in our previous ordinances and was omitted in this one, and we're asking to put it back. Specifically for garages that may be falling down, or even homes that are neglected and they have a porch falling off. This allows me to send a letter and notify them that their structure is unsafe. Section 9 is naming a typo. These two words are basically flip-flopped in there, whereas currently right now they don't match up with what the rest of the ordinance says. Section 10, confusing language. We're clarifying that. Oh, yeah, sorry. Getting a little lost there. So right now there's percentages and things like that for how much of a project needs to be improved. Right now, we're just clarifying that that should be any improvement to the property, only the part that you're improving needs to meet the current standards. Section 11 is clarifying some lighting for wall signs. A section in there is already listed underneath some footnotes on a graph. So we're just leaving that there and removing that section. Section 12, permanent business sign group, order board, excuse me. Right now, we only allow for one order board sign, and then we have a maximum of 24 square feet and an 8-foot height. Currently, with the increased amount of drive-through traffic that we're having, we've had a request and seen multiple order board signs and dual lanes, minimizing the amount of backed up traffic. So we're asking to change that requirement, allowing for more than one order board sign and increasing the order board sign square footage to allow for more modern digital signs. We are putting a maximum square footage though, so you can't have unlimited large order board signs. So if you want to have more order board signs, you're gonna have to shrink the size. Section B, or section 13, excuse me. Correcting ordinances, we're following the procedure of these already. This is just clarifying that a lot of these things that we're already putting in front of the plan commission should stay there. Whereas right now they say that the zoning administrator should have approval. We would like to continue to have those put in front of plan commission where we feel is more appropriate. -1, whereas swimming pool site plan that we feel is more appropriate just to be done internally with staff. Section 14 is just a typo where we had village listed and should have been city. Section 15, this is relating back to the procedures that we are looking to change to plan commission. This is just a figure that represents the same. And section 16, this is clarifying site plan approval procedures. This is something we also already practice. We're just clarifying what the procedure that we're already using and how that should be handled. So I'll be welcome any questions.
I don't know if I caught the section or not. Section 10, I think you said, was to clarify that it only applies to parts of property where you're seeking to make modifications to.
Okay.
Did I hear that right?
Yeah, this is, yep.
So in the past, if you were seeking some modifications on a property and you had some elements that were non-conforming, could you could still have some elements of that, but if it's not part of what you're seeking to
No,
modify
this
in the
would not be
property?
retroactive to existing parts of the building. This would only pertain to what you are improving or changing.
And just to note that that is just for landscaping.
On the fencing requirements, I thought there was something about fencing in front yards being.
Yeah, you're right about that.
prohibited.
Did I miss that section somehow?
That I didn't hear you read that one. No, sir.
Yeah, that might have been in there where we had that's in the same section. I just didn't touch on that part of it.
I just didn't want to give up the question I had for you.
Yes, sorry, yes. So yeah, we have a current restriction on a 4-foot maximum for fencing in the front and side yard. This change would allow for a larger fencing in the industrial type zoning. If they are willing to increase the aesthetics of the fence, they can increase their fence to 6 feet.
I was thinking in residential, I thought it was what it would apply to.
No,
like-
this does not include the residential for increasing to that 6 feet.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I've got a question. Is there there was a situation, not necessarily related to what's in this ordinance, but it made me kind of think of what could happen in the future.
Sure.
Maybe let's just say that there are current houses on a block. They all have chain link fence and someone doesn't and wants to install a fence. That would it necessarily make sense to say they are not permitted to have chain link fencing? I guess my question is more related to, is there a mechanism for individuals to appeal and allow either the plan commission or city discretion based on the unique situation?
We do have an appeal process for that, yeah.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
And move to recommend the city manager prepare the ordinance for a third reading at the August 1st, 2023 city council meeting.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 8, reports of officers, boards and committees, city managers report. Ms. Hausman.
Thank you. Congratulations to Officer Lawrence, and we welcome K-9 Smitty to our team. We're very excited to have them. The city staff and the design team from Angus Young have completed the schematic design phase for the Public Works and Parks facility. The next 2 phases will be the design development and construction documents phases. So we are still on track to begin construction public bidding process this fall. The city's assessor has completed the interim market update and will be mailing letters with new assessed values to property owners in August. As a reminder, the change in assessed value does not necessarily increase property taxes. The city does have a web page under our city projects website that is dedicated to this project. So there's lots of information on that already. We will continue to post things on social media. We also issued a press release that included the dates for open book and board of review and the processes for that. Engineer Selly and I attended a meeting of Jefferson County local government officials at the Highway Department on Monday. The group determined that we're going to meet more regularly in the future to share information, discuss joint service provision, and find ways to collaborate. So this was a group of administrators, managers, mayors of the cities and villages in Jefferson County. Today, Engineer Selly and I attended a focus group as part of Jefferson County's strategic planning efforts. The group today represented a diverse cross-section of county stakeholders, including county supervisors, town residents, a developer, a chamber director, a hobby farmer, and municipal representatives. So input from all of these interests will be great assistance in creating a well-rounded strategic plan for the county. And Councilmember Becker is also participating in those sessions later this week. Staff continues to work with Hoffman Development Group and Cedar Prize on the multifamily development on the city-owned property along Banker Road. We're in the process of reviewing a project development agreement and hope to have that for review by the City Council in August. The Bureau of Aeronautics selected consultants Mead and Hunt to engage in the airport master planning process. Staff in the airport committee will work with the BOA and consultants to scope out the project this year. And another airport news crack filling and seal coating operations are scheduled for the airport taxiways and runways this summer, but a final date for that has not been set. Road work on Highway 12 continues. The final quadrant of sidewalk ramp improvements began this week. Milling and repaving is scheduled to begin in August, with the entire project scheduled to be completed by the end of August. At present, there is a 2-day shutdown of Main Street between South 3rd Street and Madison Avenue proposed. Staff continues to reach out to downtown businesses in planning for the possible shutdown. The city's water main work will begin in mid-August along Florence, Rogers, and Wilcox Streets. We Energies has been working on replacing natural gas services in the area, and affected residents received letters a few weeks ago outlining the work to be done. Staff applied for and received a carbon reduction grant from the DOT to make the city's downtown traffic signals smart and reducing congestion and engine idling. The total project amount is estimated at $184,000, with 80% of the cost being grant funded. So right now, staff is completing some due diligence to make sure that it can be accomplished within that budget. And if it is, staff will ask the city council to review a state municipal agreement within the next couple months. And if that is approved by the council, then the project would need to be completed by sometime in 2026. And finally, staff has started the 2024 operating budget and 2024 to 2029 capital improvement project planning process. Members of the management team will spend the next couple months reviewing budget numbers prior to review by the finance committee and the city council. And I sent out that schedule to the council this evening. So that is all I have. Thank you.
Item 9, unfinished business. Tonight we have none. Item 10, new business. Review and possible action relating to a certified survey map for the property located at 720 Mesmer Street. Director Selly.
Thank you. This is a CSM that was considered by the Planning Commission at their meeting last week, I believe it was, on Mesmer Street. This is actually a great example of our zoning code changes at work. So this property on Mesmer Street is a large city lot with a very old home on it. The home is going to be removed and the large lot will be broken into 3 smaller lots that are now allowable under our new zoning regulations. We reduced the residential lot size. So exactly what we wanted to happening, which is always nice to see. As I said, city staff reviewed this, as did the planning commission, had no concerns. I'd be happy to answer any questions that city council may have related to this CSM.
What is the new minimum lot size that we?
It's called SR9, but I believe the front
I got
width
one of those tape measures. Sorry.
is 40 feet minimum and depth is 100.
Yes.
But the overall square footage has to be 6,000 square feet. So a 40 by 100 lot's only 4,000 square feet. But the minimums were changed so that you could do a 40 by much deeper lot, or a deeper, I don't know, getting off task, but they're more similar to the lot sizes that we have in the older parts of the city, and consistent with the higher densities that we want within the city. So we're seeing some of these lots being looked at with a different eye now, with the homes on them not being valued as much, but the lots large enough to put 2 or 3 homes on them. So
Good idea.
I thought so. Yeah.
So I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I believe I know the answer to this, but in the long term, you believe this would add positive net new construction to the city, which is a good thing for tax levy and.
Yeah, absolutely. So residential construction certainly doesn't hold the weight of commercial on the tax levy side of things. But we need housing, right? Absent of the tax base and everything else. And this is a way to get at it very quickly with the existing resources and infrastructure that we have. The city is paying $0 towards infrastructure for this project, and there will be 3 new houses, and we'll lose 1 house. So a net of 2 with the existing facilities, roads, and everything that we already have there. So overall, it's a plus.
Part of my question I missed is we're adding more housing options for people. in the
Correct.
city. All right, thank you.
Andy, I'm gonna put you on the spot, kind of, because I'm bad at math and conversions. These new lots that are being created, they're probably like what, roughly 1/10 of an acre or something like that.
Well, there's 43,560 square feet in an acre, and I don't have it in front of me, but are these 6,000 square foot lots?
One
So-
is 8,000 square feet. The other 2 are about 7,000 square feet.
Okay. I can't do that math in my head. 40,
I'm more,
about a third of an
I'm
acre.
just curious how it compares to our traditional lots in the middle. They're probably similar in size, I would.
Yeah, they're very similar to, the older parts within a few blocks of the downtown are kind of the older neighborhoods. Most of those lots are 60-foot wide and in general 100 feet deep. So it's a little smaller than those. But it's definitely a livable lot. The home that you would put on there, I would say, is not a significantly sized home, but certainly a home that's appropriate for a family to live in. So.
And similar in size to the houses that many of us grew up in, or maybe.
Yeah, I would say so. I guess we'll wait and see what they build out there, right?
Sure.
But yeah, you can, there's a big push, and we've all seen, I'm sure, the newer developments with smaller homes that are more efficient and things like that. In order to get at that more affordable component. Smaller you build, the less expensive it is, obviously, for the consumer.
Yeah, that's definitely a good thing.
Have we heard any negative comments or feedback from the neighbors in this area?
No, we haven't. I will say neighbors aren't notified directly of these sorts of splits, but no, we haven't received any feedback.
I'll just say off of that, I am a neighbor to this property.
Oh, okay.
I live directly across the street. Only thing that sucks, I'm losing my little orchard that the deer stand in.
I did hear about that from the person that bought it. There's several folks who enjoy the apples that are over there, so.
But yeah, the lots are very comparable to all the neighboring properties up there, so. My lot is just a touch bigger, so.
Just for my own curiosity, what's the setback for inside the border for building? For the house, I mean, you got a 40-yard or 40-foot wide lot, you gotta be set in 10 feet, 15 feet? 7 feet, okay.
Yeah.
Just curious on how big a house you could put in.
Yeah,
Long
it
and
is.
Skinny is no problem, but.
Yeah,
Width
long and skinny is more of the geometry as opposed to squarish, right? So.
Are there rules as to what your long and skinny house will have in the front?
In terms of the architectural elements or the landscaping?
Aesthetically, it seems to me there were some issues with seeing a garage, like a double
yeah.
wide garage, and that's what you see.
Yep.
Whether that was the appropriate aesthetics you were chasing.
There was, quickly, when we went through the zoning code rewrite, we did not deal intentionally with aesthetics on residential properties. And that was a decision of the committee, both the zoning and city council, or I'm sorry, planning commission and city council that was together. They did, however, want to limit, as you said, the garage, the protruding garages. They were affectionately called snout houses, because all that's out front is the garage. You don't see much else. And the zoning code allows for the garage itself to be offset. I think it's only a couple of feet from the main building of the house. And there's also provisions in there that if you add a porch or you add some other architectural elements to the house, that protrusion can increase slightly, but certainly not to the degree that we've seen in other examples of what we might call the snout house around. It just it promotes a more neighborhood feel where people are the focus, not necessarily the garages along the house or along the block.
I get that. If you had block after block of 40 foot wide and all you saw was block after block of garage facings,
All right.
you wouldn't feel quite as in
It's
a
not quite,
community.
yeah, not quite homey, that's for sure.
I would move to approve the certified survey map for the property located at 720 Mesmer Street, subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report.
Second.
Any other discussion?
Are there any conditions that you're recommending?
I don't recall in the staff report if there were. There may typically with the CSMs, there are a few minor things on the CSM where we say, please show the laterals or please put an inset map, and they're minor things. So there may have been some of those minor things. There certainly weren't any major conditions of that approval.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item B, review and possible action relating to an extraterritorial certified survey map for the property located at W7398 County Road C. Mr. Selly.
Yeah, so as council may recall, we have a 3-mile extraterritorial zoning area beyond any point of our city boundary. A few years ago, the city council directed the city manager and myself to approve those that are 1.5 miles and out to that 3-mile internally. We provide a report to the city council, I think annually or biannually, of those that were approved. Those that are within 1.5 miles of the city boundary do go through the process of review at planning commission and city council. This particular request is if you looked at the map, it is a bit misleading. Typically, we see the home being broke off from the parent parcel. In this situation, the parent parcel is being broken off, or the larger parcel is being broken off and leaving the home as the parent parcel. But regardless, there really are no concerns from the city with respect to this land division. And we would recommend that the city council approve it. I'd be happy to take any questions associated with this.
I'd move to approve the extraterritorial certified survey map for the property located at W7398 County Road C, subject to conditions and outlined in the report.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 10C, review and possible action relating to alcohol beverage license and cigarette and tobacco license applications for Handy Spot 105 LLC for the licensing period of July 19th, 2023 to June 30th, 2024.
Thank you.
Clerk Everett.
Thank you. This is for a Class A fermented malt beverage and Class A cider only. So as a reminder, a Class A means that you consume the alcohol away from the premise, not on site. This location is 303 South Main Street. It is the BP gas station. It was sold a couple years ago, and since then it has the leasing has changed hands a few times. The most current leasing could not come with an agreement with the owner, so their lease had terminated. Handy Spot LLC, Handy Spot 105 LLC, thank you, has taken over several of the locations. There's probably a dozen within Jefferson County and Dane County area. The applicants submitted all the appropriate documentation. The application was reviewed in thorough. Seller's permit number was provided, the federal ID number was provided, a copy of the lease was provided, and there were successful background checks. The agent who is the manager on site, they basically take more of the formal approach running the business. So they do the scheduling, the hiring, the ordering, the paying of the bills. That agent has remained the same between the different leases. So a local resident was very happy to stay with the business. And again, another background check was successful for her. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the council may have about this application.
I have no questions and this seems straightforward, so I will move to approve the alcohol beverage license and cigarette and tobacco license applications for Handy Spot 105 LLC for licensing period of July 19, 2023 to June 30th, 2024.
Any further debate? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 11 miscellaneous. Tonight we have none. Item 12 claims, appropriations and contract payments. Review and possible action relating to the verified claims presented by the Director of Finance and authorization of payment. Clerk Everett.
Did you have any?
I did not.
I
I was
didn't-
just going to offer if
okay.
there's any questions, I'd be happy to address.
I figured that and that handed it off to that person this week.
I will move to approve the list of verified claims presented by the Director of Finance and authorize payment.
Second.
This is a roll call vote.
Councilman Becker,
Aye.
Councilman Jekyll,
Aye.
Councilman Lesko Hair.
Aye.
Councilman Schultz.
Aye.
President Johnson.
Aye. Item number 13, the city council may consider a motion to convene into closed session pursuant to state statute 19.851 G in order to confer with legal counsel who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategies to be adopted by the council with respect to current and pending litigation.
Move to adjourn into closed session pursuant to state statute 19.851 G in order to confer with legal counsel who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategies to be adopted by the council with respect to current and pending litigation.
Second.
All those in favor?
Believe this is a roll call vote.
The roll call vote.
Don't worry, I got it. Councilman Becker,
Aye.
Councilman Jekyll,
Aye.
Councilman Lesko Hair.
Aye.
Councilman Schultz.
Aye.
President Johnson.
Aye.
Thank you.
And we will not be returning into open session. Thank you all.